Good morning! Hey, it's just so Trish, and it is another homeschool vacation week. And kind of on the theme of burnout, but just talking about my experiences with homeschool co-ops. So here we go. Okay, I know last week I left off like, should I do private school? Should I do a homeschool? Or, co-op. And I kind of talked about classical conversations. I'm at my mom's house. This is where I'm at today. And my kids are in the back playing and fighting, and I can hear them, and I hope you can't either. But, I kind of hinted around about considering classical conversations. And I just want to kind of chit-chat about homeschool co-ops. Now, we have been... And this is my experience with them, and this is my desire for them, and this is what I'm thinking of. Kind of give you a little heads up. So we've been involved in 3 homeschool co-ops. The very first one was pretty darn great. I mean, it had some things I wish it was more often that it met, but it met once a month. And it was a large group of families, and they had a mommy devotional time. The kids played. We did lunch, and then we would do our co-op class. And it was typically hands-on involved, and we rotated families, and it went really well. When we got into it, it was after it had been going for several years, and it had been huge, and it kind of dwindled down. At the time that I came in, I still had my oldest were very early elementary school kids. So we were at the young part of it, where a lot of the mommies, it kind of catered towards the older kids, like middle schoolish. It was really very middle schoolish. And for me, it always felt like I wish we met more than once a month. My needs for it. And I wanted something maybe twice a month, maybe once a week was my thinking process. Well, a lot of the founders, their kids aged out. The homeschool group fizzled out, and that was probably one of our better ones. And I have friends from there, and it was really, a lot of times it would be like a book study kind of deal. It wasn't ever like, here's your English, here's this. It's like, hey, let's read a book, and then we'll do all of these things. Like one of the ones we did was A Land Remembered, and then every month we had a different aspect of the book, like Florida history, Florida plants, pioneer technology. We did things like that, and we did it over the course of 6 months. So we did like 3 months in the fall, 3 months in the spring, and it was really pretty cool, and it made it pretty easy. And then it would be like a parent team that did it. So we were part of that, and then that phased out because the founders always ran it, so then there was nobody new prepared. So like leadership wasn't changing over. So there's another group I'd considered and didn't, and it was when you had to pay quite a bit, and it met once a week. And what I didn't realize going into was that group had been a long stronghold, did amazing stuff, so that's what I thought I was getting into. And the founders that were in it had left because of somebody new that had come in who was just badgering, like, who takes this, and where did this money go, and why isn't this happening? And the crazy part was, this was a homeschool mom to a toddler. One kid, toddler. They were so over their own club with this one brand new member. They deserted the club, or the co-op. And I didn't know going into that's what it was. So we participated in that one, and as organized as she thought, and the toddler homeschool mom took over, and as organized as she thought she was, she wasn't. And I was teaching only to have, where we were at a church, the secretary of the church bringing my 2-year-old in, who was wandering in the parking lot because the leader was in charge of her. And she's like, oh, I got distracted. I'm like, Not okay. Not okay. I think that can be a dangerous spot with, well, besides the safety, dangerous spot. You have to be very careful about gung-ho, eager homeschool moms who haven't gotten out of toddler age, because it is, my mom's back there chastising my kids. They need to be chastised. That's a dangerous thing you can have with very over eager type A moms who have toddlers who are ready to run the world of homeschooling, who've yet to really have experience in a homeschool setting. They have unrealistic expectations, and they really can destroy things. And that's what happened. So after talking to my husband, we realized I couldn't be in that co-op because it wasn't really a safe place for my kids. It was safe for her kid, her one, like them pre-K, but not for mine. So we left that within 2 meetings. And I probably wasn't the best homeschool mom. I mean, I should have realized real quick I was in a group of helicopter mom co-op. You kind of really got to check out the culture of your homeschool group. We were in a helicopter mom homeschool group. For the majority of them, they were helicopter moms. So my children didn't play on the swings. They climbed up the apparatus that held the swings, which flipped them out. And at the time, I had 5 kids. I was just like, or 4 kids, 4 or 5 kids. And I was just kind of like, 4 kids pregnant with one. I was just like, if they choose to get up there, they're fine. They're fine. They were fine. And so I should have known then. Well, we left it, and they disbanded by December because Alpha type A homeschool mom burnt out, which should have been expected. Bless her heart. That's what we say in the South. No hate, and just like, great. So in the meantime, I wasn't really interested. I'm like, I need to spend my time in, that was homeschool group too. I need to spend time in my own. And then I found we had kind of moved into a different area that was more rural. And we found there's another homeschool group. I'm like, I don't really have a lot of interest in partnering up. Let's go, let's not do, I will come to the curriculum sales, but I don't want to participate. It's kind of more the thing. And when we did go, I really liked everybody. I didn't realize how much I was starving for a mommy contact. And I went ahead and I joined the group. And I'm slightly type A. Here's my issue, my biggest downfall. Great aspirations, great abilities. It is still not my season. I have little people running around, and I don't have the support that, like, there's some moms who have 6 kids, and their kids are teeny tiny guys, and they can run around and they're helping rule the world, and they're helping to organize it and the whole 9 yards. I don't have that. I don't have that support group or that support at home. The right, I don't want to say I have support at home, but I don't have the right support that I could go out and do those big things. And so as much as I want to do it, I can't. It exhausts me to no end. So I kind of get myself in a place where, we kind of need more leadership. And the group we ended up having, we had like 2 or 3 moms who are highly capable of like doing the classes and stuff. But when it came to all the other when it came to all the other stuff, or just making sure all the little things are caught up, the other moms weren't interested. They were just interested in showing up and checking out. And we were mamas with a lot of kids. And I think a lot of that had to come down to is a lot of us still had little kids. So we were hoping to put something together, but there was no accountability. It was kind of like, it ended up being more like a show up play date. And I didn't really want that at the time, but being able to organize. And then we had a micromanager who, you have to be really careful. You will get some personalities that if you give them too much control, they will destroy things. And we had somebody who's a micromanager who liked to put everybody else up front to be the hit person, but really what they were doing was they were pulling all the puppet strings. And I found myself as a puppet. And another friend of mine, we both kind of found ourselves as puppets. And what we didn't know was the puppet master, that personality that micromanaged, was running things through us and using us as the mouthpiece, because they didn't want to be up there telling everybody what to do, but this is what they wanted done. And it was really slick how that happened. And again, that one disbanded too. You know, I run into burnout. And a lot of that burnout comes from the fact that I am not in a place to run things. I have the mentality to run things, but I am so swamped running my own home. And finding a group of women, because that could be dangerous, that are ready for that is not in my area. You know, there's a couple of them, and they're kind of, and I'm just like, I got so much going on. I kind of need to be able to go in and plug in and do things, but not have to coordinate all the admin stuff. I just want to go teach. And everywhere I went, in order to go teach, the other support parts that coordinates the community is not there, if that makes sense. And so there's so much, and it's like it's too much for me to handle. Or too much for me and the two other people. And I've just found a lot of times I've ended up connecting with people who are looking for you to teach their kids. Sadly enough. So it's made me consider classical conversations for one reason. It's pre-programmed what you're doing. There's no discussion. There's no elections. Because the group I've come across and the community I've found is not there to do that. And then I've thought about that, but that's a lot of money. I'm paying a lot of money for that. I've considered so many times about starting my own co-op where I just run it on my terms and this is how it's going to be. I don't want the responsibility. I just want to teach. I want to teach writing. I want to teach, and then it's like, well, what am I really capable of? I've contemplated doing co-op classes out of my home, but I don't want that to be in addition to the things I'm teaching my kids, but literally as a way of making sure I'm teaching certain things. Like I've thought about doing Institute for Excellence in Writing. I do a class out of my house, just 3 or 4 other kids, just to make sure I set that time down, more of a self-discipline for me. But at the same time, I can also get this and do it in DVD, and I don't even have to teach it. So I run into different things. So I looked up a lot of, I think the big part that comes down to have an amazing, successful homeschool group, you got to have those go-getters in your community that will commit. And if they're not willing to buy the curriculum for their own home use, don't partner with them at all. If you're trying to make this co-op as free as possible and they're not willing to even buy the $15 book per kid, do not group with them at all. That is like my take-home message. If they can't buy the $10 notebook, and they want you to recreate each page for them, it's not your job to homeschool their kids. And if you find that you're the one doing everything and they're looking for you like, well, why didn't you do this? Remember to ask them, why didn't you do anything? I hate to kind of at the end be like, ugh. I've just not had the success of partnering with people who will tote their weight with their children. I know too many that are just like, I'm going to go home and drink coffee and I'll just drop her off. And I'm like, no. And I don't want to pay anything. No. So I did in a lot of I made a playlist. I'm going to put it here. None of them are my videos. Of a really amazing channel she's like the CPA homeschool co-op guru. And she really talks about a lot of aspects. I think the area I'm in, we're not a heavily child-oriented county. We're a retirement community. So there's not a lot of kids. And then there are kids that are homeschooling, but they're just not available. They're just not easy to find. And I just think it's just a lack of homeschool quantity families. The quantity of homeschooling, not the quality. Just the quantity isn't there. that you can kind of pick and choose from and figure out how to work together. And everybody has different expectations. So if you have a larger quantity, you get it. So what has been your experience? Have you had any of the same ones I have had? I mean, because of those experiences, it makes me willing to want to pay. But do I really want to spend that much money? And is it necessarily the fact that I'm looking for that curriculum to use? No. Is it looking for those subjects to teach? No. It's the fact that I can go check out for a couple hours and know that we're getting some bases covered. That's what I want. That accountability to a routine is what I've been looking for. So what is it that you look for in your homeschool co-ops? Because I don't even know if it really is a need. And if I should just buckle down the hatches and get my home set up and just be like, this is what we do and when we do it. And 4-H covers that co-op need and just let go. Anyways, so that's my question. We are still homeschool vacationing. We have yet to really kick in. I don't think we will until after the house is finished putting together. But today I'm getting my bake on. So anyways, I will talk to you later. Peace out.